I am the co-president of the Peace Studies Club on campus. We're very happy to have Abdul here, a former Johnny. I don't even know he's a Johnny. But he's going to be speaking about his recent pilgrimage to Mecca. It is one of the requirements for the Islam religion, the 5 pillars of requirements. He graduated from St. John's in the May of 2012, and he was a double major in Peace Studies and Sociology. He's currently was a board member of the Community Grassroots Solutions, a local nonprofit working primarily in St. Cloud with the Somali community. He's also the executive manager of the Language Bank. It's a business that provides translation and cultural orientation training. Abdul has brought some distinguished members of the Somali community with him today, and he will be presenting them as well. We will also want to take this opportunity to thank the Peace Studies Department, as well as the Center for Global Education, as well as the J. Phillips Center for Interfaith Learning and Community Grassroots Solutions for co-sponsoring this event. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Abdul and our guests.
Well, good evening. As you are told, my name is Abdul. I changed my name a couple of times, so my former name was Ahmad. A lot of people know me as Ahmad. But Father Dan knows me Abdul. And thank you for remembering my name, Father Dan. I'm here to thank all the faculty members who gave us education and background that we need to navigate through the system of difficulties, a system that's set up for this world that without an education it's very difficult to navigate through. I really I'm thankful to the faculty members, especially I can name some names of Ran, Professor Sheila, and the rest of the faculty members who are here today with us. I'm also recognized and thankful to the community members who are here in support of this event, one of which is Jama Alimad, who is Executive Director of Community Grassroots Solutions. He is also my mentor, and I sit as a board member for his organization. It's an organization that helps immigrant community here in St. Cloud and surrounding area. I will also recognize Yunus AJ. She is from Ghana, but she rocks. She does. Yeah, she is from Ghana, and she is the program coordinator for the District 742 Parents in Action Program. She had made a lot of difference in the community. I really recognize her very well. I also recognize SEIU Stewart, who is here to campaign on behalf of the workers to raise the minimum wage. He has been here in the community. I recognize Abdul. Thank you for being there for the community. I also recognize Abdul Noor Sigat, who is also a student at St. Cloud State University and a distinguished member of our community. I really recognize him. Also, I recognize Abdi Dair, who know me better than anyone else. He knew me when I was young, when I was going to the primary school. We have been a neighbor for so long, and if you want to know my history, you better ask him, otherwise you won't be able to know. Well, I also recognize and thank the students who are here today to learn my journey to Mecca, a pilgrimage that was essential to me and to my mother, who was with me, accompanying with me. As you may know, I was born in Somalia. And I grew up in Kenya, adapted and educated in this country. At first, academically, I am taught in Arabic and became my first mastered language, before even Somali. Then I landed in this country, and soon Arabic took backseat to English, because I have been taking All my classes academically in English. January 17, 2006, I landed in Newark Airport in New Jersey, United States. Close to a decade later, I landed in Jeddah International Airport, Saudi Arabia. Apart from whatsoever else they are apart from, my first impression for both times were the same. When I landed here and when I landed in Jeddah, my first impression were the same. And as you may not guess, it was extreme weather. One snowy and cold, and the other dry and hot in both directions. I both times thought to myself, and I still do, how in the heck life is possible here? On my route to Saudi Arabia, I have to wear two simple white robes, loose outer garments. In Frankfurt, on my way to Jeddah, other people traveling to the same events, and I have to change to this robe, which we did. Almost half of the travelers on board looked like the same. And being a Muslim in an airplane and having that sign is a scary thing. We were Europeans and Americans. All people were Europeans and Americans. Luckily, I had a white Europeans and white Americans who are with me, having the same robes with me, so I don't have to frighten myself. 10 minutes from our landing, we said out loud a talbiyah. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك. Which means, here I am, O Allah, God, here I am. Here I am, you have no partner. Here I am, verily all praises and blessings are yours, and all sovereignty you have no partner. Upon descending from the airplane at Jeddah Airport, we have been sorted from the rest of the passengers on board by plainclothes personnel from Saudi government. When we are descending from the stairs, they told us, Hajj imshi hina, which means, my mom didn't speak Arabic, so she asked me, she wasn't unsure, and others were unsure as well. So she asked me, what are they saying? They said, Haji, go this side. That's the first time I get the name Haji. We were bused to a special designated area for immigration purposes where they were keeping all immigrant people. All pilgrims. While we were waiting our immigration papers processed, groups after groups were pouring in the place, all wearing the two simple white robes and citing talbiyah. Our bags were loaded in a bus and we were headed to Mecca. An hour drive. We were 38 people, our group from Minnesota. We were 38. All our passports were put in a case and handed to the driver of the bus. We stopped at Pilgrim Guidance Center in the road between Jeddah and Mecca. The driver was asked how many people And what's their nationality? He will answer 38, American. Probably the way he says is, the way they ask is, كم عدد جنسية? And he will say, 38, an American. That means, كم عدد, how many people, and جنسية, their nationality, and then he will say, American and 38. They will give us packaged food in boxes and water that they distributed to us in the bus so we can eat. We reach the beginning of the border of Haram. I'll probably show you how it looks like. That's the border. That is the border. We reach the beginning of the border of Haram. It has big arrow-like sign in the middle of the road, exactly as you can see from this picture. I took this picture thanks to my Samsung Note. From here, you can't kill anything. You can't cut your hair. You can't clip your nails. You can't lie. You can't enjoy sex. You can't do a lot what people have taken for granted. This is Haram. From here to the other side of the Haram, birds stay within the people. They are not going to run away from you because they know no one is going to kill them. No one is going to touch them. Animals don't even scare away from people. They stay. You can't cut trees as well. We entered Mecca and stopped by the immigration department officer, number 30. We belong number 30 because we were from United States. They divided people based on nationality, so we became number 30. So later on, if we lost somewhere, we're going to tell we belong number 30. So that's the people who are from United States. The driver handed over our passports. In exchange, they gave us wristbands that says that we belong number 30. An identification card that our pictures and names and citizenships appear. Sometimes some people I have seen their passport numbers also appear. And of course, they gave us food. Sounds like a deal. Let them have the passports, and we're going to have a food, wristbands, and IDs. 3 men boarded on the bus, directed the driver into the hotel, and unloaded our bags for us. Something to mention that once we entered Jeddah, till we came out of Jeddah, we never loaded and unloaded our bags. Someone was doing for us. We rested in the hotel until the Hajj ritual activity days come. In the hotel, we met people from United States, people who are from Seattle, Atlanta, Denver, Colorado, and also the people I met, I can remember also from Fargo, North Dakota. 3, there are 5 pillars of Islam. From here, I'm going down to the rituals that we did. But before I do, because we are square one, we don't know what Hajj means, I have to state the 5 pillars of Islam and what they are before I go down to Hajj. Islam has 5 pillars of Islam, secondary to everything. They are required from every Muslim who is mature and sane to perform. One of which is Shahada, a declaration of faith. There is none worthy of worship except God, and Muhammad is the messenger of God. That's what it says. This declaration of faith is called the Shahada, a simple formula that all the faithful pronounce. The significance of this declaration is the belief that the only purpose of life is to serve and obey God, and this is achieved through the teaching and practices of last prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. and the rest of messengers as well. Salah is a prayer. Salah is the name for the obligatory prayers that are performed 5 times a day. Probably you have seen that, people doing it. And there are direct link between the worshipper and God. These 5 ritual prayers contain verses from the Quran and are said in Arabic, the language of the revelation. Personal supplication, however, can be offered in one's own language and at any time. So you can pray in your language once you're done with the obligatory part of it. Zakah. Zakah is a charity. It's a charity that we are obligated to pay. An important principle of Islam is that everything belongs to God, and that wealth is therefore held by human being in trust. The word zakah means both purification and growth, setting aside a proportion for those in need purifies our possessions. So that's the third one. Fourth one is Sawm, fasting. Every year in the month of Ramadan, all April Muslims fast from sunrise until sundown, abstaining from food, drinks, and sexual relationship with their spouses at the daytime. Although fasting is beneficial to health, it's mainly a method of self-purification by cutting oneself from worldly comforts and giving back to the community who are in need. Hajj, or pilgrimage. The last one is Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca. The Hajj is an obligation only for those who are physically and financially able. Nevertheless, over 2 million people go to Mecca each year from every corner of the globe, providing a unique opportunity for those at different nations to meet one another. And this is the event that made me to travel all the way to Mecca to participate in the rituals obligated during Hajj period. This year, according to Saudi Foreign Minister, close to 2 million people came to the Hajj from 188 countries. They were wearing the same 2 garments that we'll probably see in this picture. Those 2 guys wear. They also did say the same rituals, slept the same place, and ate together. And every picture you will see here is a picture that I took by myself. I didn't research it, so I took it by myself with my camera. So they also do the same rituals, slept the same place, and ate together. We ate together, actually. The annual Hajj begins on the 12th month of the Islamic lunar year. In early morning, the 8th of the month, Dhul Hajj, which is the 12th month of the Islamic lunar year, we travel to Mina. Mina is Mina is the camp that these 2 gentlemen were coming out. There is a camp, you see, if you see the tents over there, those are the camp. It's a city of a camp. 2 million people will live in those tents for about 6 days. We traveled to Mina. It's a city made of tents. We ate, prayed, and had times of devotion, conscious examination, and repentance. It was about personal and never being a congregation or group activities. It was just personal. You will examine your conscience, repent of your actions that you did, and pray for God. That's all we did on that day. We were there till next morning. So next morning we went to And probably, if you can see that picture, this is the place that we camp in Mina, was United States, Europe, and Australian camp. So you see these people are from Europe, Eastern Europe. I have met from people, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Turkey, and all these countries, some people from France, German, England, and also Australia. So we camped with these people because they divided people based on continent. At the same time, they divided based on country. So within the tent, within the group, we had our own United States group. So the next day, we went to Arafat. Arafat, early morning, waves of people walked from Mina to Arafat ground. Some were bused. People who were unable to walk from that distance were gave buses to transport them from Mina to Arafat. It's about 12 or 10 kilometers. So some people walked. I really walked. So it was also a good time to see all these people look like pouring in those roads. Sometimes people were better reaching out there than buses, because buses, there was a jam of people, so buses couldn't move well. Planted trees, open ground. It's a planted trees, open ground. I took that picture too. Unlike Mina, which we had air conditioning in our shelters. In Mina, the camp I talked about, we had air conditioning. But this one, we don't have an air conditioner. So we're going to spend the day without air conditioning there. And probably, I would say, hundreds or 90s degrees, even if it's not more. It's either you stay in the tent. They have tents behind here. I didn't take a picture of those tents. Or you stay in the open ground. Arafat is called, that mountain is called Arafat, the mountain over there. All the white things in the mountain are people. It's either you stay in the tent or go to the open ground, or as I did, you go and climb that Arafat mountain. I did climb that Arafat mountain. In here, millions of people come outside praying. It was outstanding to see all these people coming out, praying out loud, everybody asking his need and repenting from his actions that he also. It was also a moment of devotion and thinking in clarity. In here, millions of people come outside praying. There are no sets of required prayers. In here, there are no sets of required prayers. You stand outside, you ask your need, and you examine yourself and your actions towards other people and towards God. There are no sets of required prayers. Everybody is free to ask the Almighty her personal need. Facing Mecca, the pilgrim spends the entire second day of the ritual standing, meditating, and praying. The rest in Mina helps the pilgrimage pull through the rigor of Arafat. So when you were in Mina, we were having repentance, a moment of devotion, thinking of our actions. So when we came to Arafat, this is the time that you can have your prayers and ask whatever you need of God. Perhaps Prophet Muhammad said in Hadith, closer to one to be a God is when he is standing on Arafat. Especially when the time of the ritual is coincides with the peak of summer heat. There is, however, no strict rule that the pilgrim must stand. Some pilgrims sit, talk, and eat. Some others climb the mountain of mercy. It's sometimes referred a mountain of mercy, Jabal Rahmah, which is located to the southeast of the plain. So probably this is a picture I took, and I'll probably show you other pictures. Those two gentlemen were with me climbing that mountain. And if you look at the peak of the mountain, there is a kind of a building, a little bit of a sign building. There is where Prophet Muhammad stood and gave his last sermon. So that signifies where he stood. So we spent the day in Arafat, and then when the sun, after we prayed Maghrib and the sun set, we walked from Arafat to Muzdalifah. So I'll talk about Muzdalifah. After sunset, Canaan fired ceremonially. They fired a cannon saying that this is the time you move. Signal is that the pilgrim must begin the journey back to Mina. So when we are going back to Mina, we have to sleep overnight in Muzdalifah. The pilgrim is to stay at Muzdalifah for more worship and rest the next day before leaving to Muzdalifah, to Mina. So in Muzdalifah, when we walked from Arafat, between Arafat and Mina, there is an open ground called Muzdalifah. There's no tents, nothing. You have only two ropes, two shades out on you, two Germans. So everybody, regardless of who he is, stays and sleeps overnights over there. An open ground with nothing to sleep on and two Germans. From here, we went back to Mina the next morning. If you are young and able, you wait until the morning. If you are old and unable to sleep, after midnight, you go back to Mina. From here, we went back to Mina. Started stoning the Jamarat 3 days. So probably I'll have to show you Jamarat. So that's me standing in Mina when I descended from that mountain in the evening. And probably you can see other pictures. Some people, technology, you will never escape from technology. Someone on top of the mountain and speaking on cell phone. And so here is the Jamarat. If you look there, this is the third floor of the Jamarat. The history of Jamarat is that when Prophet Ibrahim was ordered to slaughter his son Ismail, to try him, and Satan, Shaitan, corrupted his conscience and told him to disobey God, he threw stones to these mountains. It's 3 mountains. It's called the small one, the medium one, and the big one. So each one, Prophet Ibrahim threw 7 rocks over there. And probably I will tell you the meaning of this. So he threw 7 rocks on this one, and 7 rocks on that one, and 7 rocks on that one. So we did the same in footsteps of Prophet Ibrahim. We started stoning the Jamarat 3 days. We also rounded 7 circles of the Kaaba. So this is the Jamarat. And this is the sign. Our group, 38 people, we had a sign that says United States and the flag's over there. So when we are walking through the tunnel of these mountains through the Jamarat, we had this sign to create the cohesion between the groups, so some people don't lose from our group, especially the old people. So we had that. So this is a tunnel. It's a big tunnel. When you're going from Mina to the Jamarat, you go through 3 tunnels of mountains, each one about a mile or 2. Some of them are more longer, but you go through the tunnels because I suspect because they didn't want to demolish the mountains because of the historical significance of those mountains. We also rounded 7 circles that's Kaaba. I took that. That's the Kaaba. I took it before the prayer, Maghrib, and that's those people were there. You probably can't move if you want to move from here to somewhere else, it's very dangerous and very difficult to move. So tons of people were there. So that's the Kaaba. You run 7 times, and I'll talk about the significance of that Kaaba and the historical significance of it as well later on. And we walked between Safa and Marwa. Safa and Marwa hills. This is Safa hill, and this is Marwa hill. I'm standing over there. So that's Safa hill, and this is Marwa hill. People are saying prayers down there. I met these people. I took the picture regardless of if they're going to allow. So, and the significance of this Safa or Marwa is that Hajra was the wife of Prophet Abraham and the mother of Ismail. When Prophet Abraham was ordered and directed by God for him to go to Palestine, in where you call right now Israel, he left them behind with a jar of water and a small amount of dates. And dates, after when he left, they ran out. So Prophet Ishmael, who was young at that time, was here. Let me tell. Okay, go back. Yep, was at this house, at the side of this house, that's Kaaba. And then he started crying and beating his legs to the ground. And now she's a mother. She can't do anything. She has to look for people. She has to look for help. So she ran between these 2 hills, Safa and Marwa. She climbs the hill, looks for people. If she can't find anyone, she goes back and climbs the other one. It's a mile apart. They are a mile apart from each other. So she goes to the other one and climbs, and then comes back and climbs the other one and looks for people and help. If she can't find her, she goes back. She went 7 times like that. So the 7th time when she was coming back, she heard a noise. And this house, Kaaba, is nearby. It's not that far away from these 2. So what happened was that she heard the noise, and she said something could happen to Ismail, who was young at that time. So she came back and found him with water. Water came out from where he was beating his legs. So those water are called Zamzam. They call Zamzam water. So we also drank that water. So all the rituals came from Prophet Ibrahim, most of it, except Arafah, which Prophet Muhammad stood. The rest of them were Prophet Ibrahim. So we have to run. We have to do the same Hajra did. So we will run between these 2. And when Hajra was doing this, she was also praying. So you go to that hill, Safa, and then you pray, and you come back to Mina, and you pray, and you go back to that, and you pray, and you do the same thing, and you ask your need. She was asking her need at that time. So you've got to do your need too. So that's the significance of it. So the water is called Zamzam. And to tell you a little bit of this house, Prophet Ibrahim built this house long before even Islam came to being. And you probably know that even Christians were not there. So it's one of the oldest homes ever built, I think. Prophet Ibrahim built it. It was renovated, but it still was built. When he was building, he left a footprint over there. And I'll probably took a picture. I don't have it here. I have seen his footprint. It's very big. He was a very huge human being. So Prophet Ibrahim built, and the rituals we were doing between these 2, Safa and Marwa, Hajra did it. Mina, 72 prophets slept in Mina. 72. Prophet Muhammad said in hadith that this place was holy, and every prophet went through this place, and 72 of them slept. Khayf, I'll show you Masjid Khayf. I didn't put it. So And we stayed 3 days at Mina. So we did round 7 times, ran between these 2 hills 7 times, and we went back to Mina, stayed for 3 days after when we did all this. So completely it's 6 days. A day that we stayed in Mina, a day we stayed in Arafat, and we slept at Muzdalifah, or the open ground. And the 3 days after when we did the Jamrat, we have to do the Jamrat the 3 days, and also do 1 time the circling, rounding the Kaaba 1 time, and also running between these 2 hills. And I will say you one thing, almost the 5 pillars that I have mentioned have social component on them, whether we people know it or not. Built into them, social components built into them. Prayer, we talked about salat. You stand in line with strangers. If you ever seen a Muslim people praying, they stand in line. So you stand in line with the strangers, people whom you don't know. And do the same thing with them without considering class, status, and race. We are all equal, standing in front of God. We talked about zakah, which was charity. Charity is also a giving to the poor while fasting in a sort of solidarity and a feeling for the poor who don't have what to eat. You fast from sunrise to sunset. But what that signifies is that you fast in solidarity with the people who can't get what to eat and who stays poor and live in poverty. So you feel what they feel, and you know how they feel it and what it is. So that humanizes the poor people. Because if you stay eating all the time and never escaped from eating, actually sometimes hunts us and oversizes us, then you probably don't know how the poor people live. But when you fast a month and you stay that way for 30 days, probably you know how they feel. In Hajj, which I am the one I'm talking about, I'm humbled by the great people who came from 180 countries, who regardless of their status, class, age, race, slept together in a camping tent, slept the same time, ate same food, did the same rituals, and are called the same name, which is Hajj. They are all referred to Hajj. When I left from the airport of Jeddah, I lost my identity as Abdul. I became Haji. All people refer me Haji. I had never seen a place where equality of that sort exists. Black, white, brown, of all sorts of class and status, created an atmosphere of which I would have liked to see in the world of today. And I wonder, still wonder, and I will forever wonder, if this is the wisdom behind all these rituals, equality. Before I conclude my talk, I'll talk one thing that I also have seen, which is outside of the Hajj rituals. It was globalization. So, in Mecca, you will see Burger King, Subway, McDonald's. Some of the companies who make chickens, like Golden Plum. Some of the companies who make beef. What was the company you told me? Tyson, yep, Tyson. I have seen a package of Tyson. Tyson, a company who packages beef. Even though I was from United States, I didn't eat from Burger King because I know I'm gonna get it out in my place. So I'm interested in other places. I ate from Turkey restaurant and Indian restaurants. But other people were interested eating from Burger King, and people were standing in queue on lines for Burger King. And a friend of mine went there and asked, and it's very expensive. Probably it was about 30 reals, equivalent about $10. I don't know, like that, because 3.75. Yep. In the second restaurant, it's about 5 reals. And I asked my friend, "What's up? Why is it that expensive?" And he said, I asked the salesman, and he said, "Mat'ab al-America." It's American food, he says. Yeah. So it was expensive. I also have seen some hotels, Sheraton, Hilton, Days Inn. Days Inn, yep. I haven't seen Holiday Inn. I've seen Days Inn. So there is a sign of globalization. In cell phones, you might see companies who are familiar here. AT&T, I have seen AT&T in other companies as well. So there are a globalization that's going on. One of the things that I also have seen outside of the Hajj is how cheap gas is. You know, when I was buying water, the little purified water, it's a real, equivalent of that, a real. When I am buying a gas, you know, I wasn't buying, but I asked it how much is it? It's 46 halal, 46 cents. A gallon of gas, 46 cents. That purified little water is a real. So you will see how cheap is. Sometimes wonder if I could drive there. Well, I don't worry about it. The other thing I've seen also is a smaller car, smaller rooms, smaller cars. You know, probably the cars, I don't know who they are designed, but the back seat, we used to fit 3 or 4 people when we were renting a taxi because we are a group of people. In Saudi, it just only fits 2 people. It just fits 2 people. And the rooms of the hotels, you know, in America, you have a big rooms. There is very small rooms. The other thing I also asked is if they know America, you know, the local people, and if they know the President of the United States, and they told me they know it. But some people didn't. One person told me Obama, the rest couldn't tell me because the media is cut off from the people. So they don't look, they're too busy to look up who United States president is. I asked one guy, who is the president of the United States? And he said, Obama. He asked me, "Min qarya shunu jit?" Which city do you came from? I said, which state? Yeah. I said, Minnesota. He said, Minnesota, mush ma'roof. Minnesota is not known, he said. I said, which cities are known? He said, New York, Washington, Chicago, Boston, Philadelphia. And I said, Philadelphia? Maybe we're not in the spot. Maybe one time we should host athletic maybe games or whatever, so people could know us. Anyway, that's the conclusion of my talk. I really appreciate for you being here and listening to me. I will be welcome. There were many stories and information that I couldn't share today because of the time. I would like, if you have questions, don't hesitate. Please ask. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here.